Hey Norm,
Hey, I don't know. I'm going dark again.
you
Not
going dark
sure
today?
what's happened.
Are
My
you
camera
trying to
went
be
dark.
romantic today?
Yeah, it's this candlelight. Let's try this again. All right. Well, I'm dark right now. Um, we're here. It's Ecom Power podcast. We just got back from traffic and conversion,
Yes,
and
that was great. So
this
interesting.
year has got to have been one of the best TNC events ever. Uh, I know every I got something out of everyone that I went to, but the AI component to this and the content marketing side of this was just incredible. So I loved it. And if you've never gone to TNC, uh, do it. It just they are so professional over there. It was fantastic. We had a great time. I think you had a great good time.
I loved it. I loved it. So interesting. I learned so much just from a couple of sessions. Hopefully catching up with a couple of other ones. But I saw you. We spent some time, so that was fun.
Yeah, I
Uh,
had some good dim sum too.
we managed to find in the middle of the night a place that was open in Chinatown, so that was fun.
It was good. Now, I don't know what's happening with my camera. So anybody who's listening on a podcast, it's fine.
Yeah.
If you're not on the podcast and you're watching the live stream, it looks like I'm having a romantic dinner with myself. So
So first of all, welcome everyone. This is the Ecom Power podcast, the Walmart Marketplace podcast. So if you're selling on Walmart or thinking on selling on Walmart, this is the podcast for you. And today we're going to discuss improving sales with consumer insight. What we're going to talk, about why should sellers do consumer insight and use them. At what phase of product development should sellers consider consumer search, and the best ways to get started. So before we're going to start, let's have a quick note from our sponsors.
are you struggling with your Walmart marketplace business? Do you need help from a skilled and reliable virtual assistant? Well, look no further than Virtual Assistant Academy or VAA Philippines. VAA specializes in locating, screening, training, and supporting high quality Walmart VAs in the Philippines. Their VAs receive extensive Walmart training and ongoing professional development and are committed to long term working relationships with you. Partner with VAA and experience the peace of mind knowing that you have a dedicated Walmart trained VA who's up to date with the latest tools and trends in the dynamic Walmart marketplace. Head over to VAAphilippines.com and let VAA match you with your ideal VA today. Okay, we're back. So let's get into this. Today, we're going to be discussing improving sales through customer insights. Our guest is the co founder of PickFu, a consumer research platform, and it gets you fast, reliable feedback from real people. He's a serial entrepreneur with over 17 years, and he lives in Los Angeles with his wife and two children, and we found out he has a dog too. I'm talking about Justin Chen. So, welcome, Justin.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Great to
It's
see
our
you.
pleasure. What kind of dog do you have?
So it's a very small Maltipoo,
A Maltipoo.
8 pounds. And
Oh,
if
tiny.
anyone's ever met me, I'm a bigger dude, and so whenever I walk her, it's kind of comical because it's a small little white Maltipoo, 8 pounder, and sometimes she's got a dress on and whatnot. But it was my daughter's dog during we got it during the pandemic, so she's a pandemic puppy. But yeah, she's my work companion throughout the day.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, we all have to have our dogs or cats, but let's get into this. I have people ask me all the time about focus groups or
Sure.
research. How do you do it? So why don't we start off with why should sellers even do consumer research?
Yeah, I think it's important to get out of your own head, first of all. I think a lot of times people assume they know what their target audience wants, but a lot of times you yourself aren't necessarily your target audience. and your friends and family aren't necessarily either. So a lot of the decisions that you're making are based off assumptions that may or may not hold true. And even if they might be educated assumptions, you still want to validate those things with your real target audience. So what we found is that a lot of times people make mistakes early, they make decisions early in the process, and maybe they brand it or they design a product that just isn't resonating, and they don't really discover that till it's too late. They've already ordered all that product, they spent thousands of dollars, they've got all this inventory, but they're not getting the clicks and they're not getting the conversions, and that's heartbreaking to see. And so yeah, because a lot of people come to us too late. They come to us when they're trying to optimize some marketing aspect. Maybe it's the main image, and a lot of times the feedback that their polls show is actually, oh, your branding isn't great, like your packaging isn't great, or any of these other things that aren't really changeable at that point. But if they had tested it earlier, they could have caught some of these things earlier in the process.
Okay, very good. Oh, Michal, you're muted.
Sorry.
There we go.
So I say I cannot agree more on how important is that process. So can you tell me when is the best time to actually get some customer insight on which part of the product development is like the best time?
Yeah, I mean, really at any point of it. We see people doing things as early as idea validation. So like Norm said, really think about this like a digital focus group. So if you were going to go into a coffee shop and you were going to talk to your target audience about a product that you are about to sell, what are the kinds of questions that you might ask them? You might ask them, maybe you're trying to sell to moms, and so you were to gather a bunch of moms into a coffee shop, and you want to know about their frustrations with diaper bags or something like that. So you might ask them like, hey, what are your frustrations with diaper bags? Well, that's a question you could ask on PickFu. You could do an open-ended question to moms, people with babies, or maybe having babies soon, and just ask them, what are your frustrations with the diaper bags on the market now? What do you wish they could do? And this might inform what opportunity you might have for your own variation. And then as you're developing it, you can start getting feedback. So again, if you were to go into a coffee shop, you might have a sketch or a 3D render of a product that you're thinking of selling, or maybe some branding that you're thinking of using. You would just ask them, like, what do you think about this? And you could do the same on PickFu. You could just take a single concept and ask them, what do you like or dislike about this product? What do does this branding resonate for you for a, baby goods brand or whatever it is, and actually get people to give you written feedback on things that they might improve. And so really, if a lot of times as we're developing things, we kind of have this question in our head of like, I wonder if this is the right thing. I think a lot of times we just kind of power through it and make that decision. Maybe we quickly ask our friends and family or whatnot, but there's so many micro decisions that could be validated very quickly against your target audience, and that just gives you so much more confidence to move forward in that decision making process.
Yeah, I like that word confident, because a lot of sellers they're like, they do all this process, and this whole time they're not confident. So
yeah,
a lot of the times, at least when I've used your app, and I've heard this from other sellers, they think of it as primary image.
mm-hmm.
They're only using it for primary image,
mm-hmm.
and it's so much more. And I just want to give you one example, and then we could talk about other examples. But your whole stack. So you've got this slide deck,
Yep.
and the order that the slide deck is that it's in. So this is something you might want to take a look at. And I'm talking about to any of the listeners out there, but you could have a slide deck that goes your primary image. So maybe it's light with a white background, dark white, or it could be with the lifestyle images in different areas, or just maybe you have 9 images and select which ones.
Mm-hmm.
But you can also ask like something like that. And there's all sorts of other things that you can ask. So do you want to just talk about a few things?
Yeah, I mean that one's a good one that you bring up because when you test multiple options on our platform, let's say you've got 8 different images, we actually ask them to rank them in preferential order. So we always randomize the order that they see it in for every respondent. So the order that you upload it doesn't matter, but it'll at the end of running that poll, you'll have a better sense of which images are important to them in perhaps their decision making process. And so that might be one way that you might use that data. But yeah, you can use it on anything. So it doesn't even have to be imagery. It could be copy. So it could just be text. That might be listing copy or even copy that's going on to your products, your maybe inserts or whatever it is. Audio, video. So maybe as you're creating video for your listing or for your commercials, you may want to test out voiceover actors. We've done that with some of our videos, kind of testing all the different components, theme music, even storyboards, all the different components. Like if you think about a video, there's so many decisions you're making. And if you were just to ask someone about the end product, it may or may not resonate, but for so many different reasons, right? Someone may not like the voice, someone may not like the music, someone may think like the script is horrible. But if you had tested all of that in kind of individually, then you would have all that feedback and you would have made adjustments so that that end product wouldn't have so much, very negative feedback. So that's really the approach that we try to evangelize, is that you should be testing these micro decisions. So by the time you get to an end product, whether it's your actual product package and your design or your video, you've already validated a lot of small directional steps so that, again, you have that confidence to launch it or to spend the money to put ads behind it or whatever it is.
So with this, that was a great answer. And I just, while you were mentioning that, I was thinking about video or your A plus, as well as your storefront. These
Yeah.
are other things, just the layouts, because you have different widgets that you can use to lay out each of those. So that's another thing. Oh gosh,
I can ask the next question.
Go for it.
All right. So what is the best way to start with getting some customers inside?
Yeah. So, if you're new to the platform and let's say you have a product that's, you already have a product but maybe you don't have things you want to test it against. So the first couple tests I might run, if you have a live listing, I would do what we call like a crowdsourced listing audit, where you could just ask people to visit your listing and ask any questions that they may still have after looking at it. And this is interesting because it surfaces a lot of things that maybe you thought you answered in the listing, but maybe just aren't emphasized enough. So that's really interesting because maybe you'll need to revisit your imagery or your copy or whatever it is. So that's a good test, and you don't have to have variations to test against. The other test I would run is testing your primary image against your competitors' primary images, just to see if there's any reasons that people are vocalizing why they might be selecting your competitors over yours, because maybe it's a small tweak, maybe it's a layout thing, and you could have some easy wins there. So those are the first few things I would do. And depending on that feedback, you could go back to your designer and start iterating on your primary image, or you go look at your listing and see, okay, maybe I need to revisit the bullet points or something like that.
Yeah, I love that. I love, because usually what we do, and I tell my customers all the time, the content have to answer any question customer will have. And if you miss just one, he might gonna leave and just go to a different product. And especially, with Walmart, there is not a like Q&A section unless you have a plus content, so you can add Q&A or and a lot of, there is not much reviews like on Amazon. So sometimes, so it's very, very, like, I think it's really important to answer everything. So I love that because I didn't think about that, because I usually thinking, when I think PickFu is like the packaging, the
Yeah.
images, because a lot of times, I would, go to a graphic designer, create my packaging, and I loved it. I love it. But, it's very important to have a couple of options and ask the consumers, because maybe what I like, is something better, right? So I would
Exactly.
never know, because I think most people, they're missing that part in the process, that, the packaging is very important on the design, or little things. There are always, you can, or you, like you said, with the competitors, like you can use your competitor image, so you can use again your competitor product and yours, and see what customers saying. Maybe you can, make it better. So I really love that. Norm?
Yeah, the other thing that I like about the platform is you get to select, your the demographic.
Hmm.
So let's go over some of the different types of people or interests that people can select when they're looking for their audience.
Yeah, so we have a lot of the basic demographics for sure. So gender, age, income, kind of marital status, that kind of stuff. But we also have a lot of behavioral things. So whether they take nutritional supplements or use cosmetics or play certain sports, um, a lot of these were actually customer requests because they're selling products in certain areas. So if there's ever an area that we don't have, definitely let us know so that we can look into building it. But we have a lot of interesting behavioral ones. Nutritional supplements is a big space. So there's a lot of people selling those. So we have that kind of targeting. Physical activity where they're very active or whatnot. And beyond that, we've been expanding countries as well. So we started in the US, but we've been recently expanding to the UK, Australia, Canada, Germany, and we just opened up Mexico and Japan a couple of days ago. So if you're doing validation before going to those markets, I think that's incredibly important, especially if you're not from those markets. And you definitely want to test out any product packaging and branding and marketing materials just to make sure that things are still resonating with a completely different culture. So those are incredibly exciting. And we always try to get the native speakers. So in Germany, they will be German speakers. We'll make sure your questions translated. Their responses will be in German, but we'll translate them back in English for you. So same with Mexico and Japan.
Wow, I didn't know you go international. This is amazing, because which now, like, I'm thinking, sellers do sell on so many different platforms
Yeah.
today, and definitely the Americans are extremely different than European. It's like
Yes.
they think different, they eat different, they get dressed different. It's really so many things, and this is so interesting. So what somebody would do, let's say, you have his product, he validated in the US,
Yeah.
and now he's taking it to Europe or somewhere else, and then he finds different things. So what do you think he should do? Like, repackage it, or how we should handle these kind of differences he might find in a different marketplace?
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends. I think what I would do is first validate that there's the interest and the need for that product. Obviously, you're going to be doing your own keyword research separately, but I would run a test of if people find your product interesting, like, hey, would you buy this? In
Mhm.
that given country,
Yeah.
I would find some of the competitors and see how it compares as is without making any changes, and then I would ask, specifically, what would you change to make this more appealing? And by that feedback, I would see, okay, well, maybe they don't like the branding, maybe it's the packaging. um it could be any number of things, but you won't know until you test it.
Yeah.
So I guess one of the things that you could do, because I really didn't think of international as well,
Yeah.
but with the beauty of ChatGPT,
Yeah.
those questions that you want to ask, you could just go in there, translate the question, and then
Yeah.
post it that way. And you probably have a fairly accurate translation.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and we'll translate it for you as well. So if you don't want to you can chat GPT it, or you could write your question in English, and we'll do a similar thing where we'll translate it for you. Yeah, so I think it's exciting times to be able to bridge these language and cultural barriers, because now if you just had like a hunch or an inkling that you're interested in a marketplace, now you can kind of just go validate it, like theoretically, before kind of going through all the hoops and actually getting the product up and just to do a small test run.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of botched translations, including myself. I sell soap, so I started to sell in Japan.
Yeah,
And I bought the Japanese characters.
yeah.
Soap Club, right? So you think, oh, it got a great name. And I didn't know that the way that I bought it translated to brothel. Got tons of traffic.
Oh my God.
Yeah, true story.
That's awesome.
Only something like that can only happen to you.
That's awesome.
So when they go on your platform to go international, is it the same PickFu.com or is it different?
Yeah, it's the same. And as you're building a poll, in the audience section, there'll be a different countries that you could choose from. Yeah, the pricing is a little bit higher just because the panel is more difficult to reshare, and there's more kind of quality and translation things that we have to do. But it's the same flow otherwise.
Yeah, but when I think about it, it can save a seller so much money if
For sure.
he want to start selling in the UK, and he's doing so much, and it can be a lot of money, especially if you take help and services to launch yourself in the UK properly, and he never even checked to see if this item is a good fit for that market. Yeah. And I saw many stories like that.
Yeah.
Of sellers that are extremely successful on Amazon.com, and they went to different countries or different marketplaces, and it's just not working because
even in your own country.
Yeah.
So like in Canada, this is where I'm just outside of Toronto, and the Toronto or the Ontario market is so different than Montreal or Quebec City.
Interesting.
It's completely different.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. It can make sense. Canada is big, and it's a mixture of like a lot of people from different places and languages, and certain areas have a little bit more of this or that. So definitely, and guys, we don't need to talk about pricing and stuff, but it's really not expensive. It's really worth it to go and ask those questions and get those insights. I always recommend all my customers to do some kind of insight. Like if we're looking at all the biggest brand that like Coca-Cola, that's what they do. This is exactly the process they do. So if you think yourself as a big brand and you want to do things the right way, it is important to see what customers think about the product, what questions they have, and what do they think about your listing, your images, and all this stuff. So this is so interesting.
I call this the Brady Bunch effect. So everybody on this call is probably too young for the Brady Bunch, but I was brought up on the Brady Bunch. So what this is a family. I guess is a total of 8 people, plus the live-in maid. Alice in the middle. In competitive analysis, one of the things that I do all the time, now it might not be with all surrounding the whole product, but I will put mine in there. I will check out the competition. And if the votes aren't equal to or more, then go back to the drawing board. It really is that simple, because if you don't, it doesn't lie. You can go to this research, or you can go to another platform or a different platform.
Yeah.
If you've got the same sort of insights, the audience insights, they're going to tell you. Now, this is completely different if you have 3 people, voting. You have to have a few numbers. Yeah. And this is another interesting question, because people will ask, well, how many people should be voting on any particular poll? So what do you think? That's actually something that I've been asked quite a few times.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it depends on what you're testing. So if I'm testing a small variation of something that I'm designing, let's say I'm doing packaging and I'm kind of playing with the font and I'm just kind of iterating on these small tweaks, I would do something as low as 15, just because I'm looking for directional feedback. And especially if that comes back 10 to 5 or 12 to 3, like it's statistically significant and I really don't even need to worry about it. If I'm trying to do some kind of market validation, then I would probably do something at least 100 or potentially more, depending on how confident I want to be.
Right.
But it also really does come down to what the results are. I mean, if you do 50 and it's coming back 40 to 10, it's significant, and you don't need to worry about spending 100 or 200 responses. So it really comes down to how it's performing. But one thing I will note is that you could start at any of those lower response counts, and you could always add more responses later. So if you start at 15 or 30 responses, it comes back dead even. But you really want to know for sure, you could add it more and make it 50 or 100 or 200. And vice versa, you could actually start it at 200, and if it's a runaway success in the first like 30, you could stop the poll early, and we'll credit you back to your account. So we don't want. Sometimes, yeah, people are like, no, I need to know 500 responses or something. And then it's like, okay, this is kind of silly. Like it's so lopsided that I don't need 500 people to tell me the exact same thing. So that's the reason we have that built in.
Very good.
Yeah, I really like the one of the things that I really like is, for example, let's say we're showing the customer 4 different kind of packages, and then we kind of see that 2 are have a little bit more vote, and then we go to the next step, and then now we take those 2 packages, and now we focus in on that, and that process is actually help you find the winner, the winner of the packages, the design, the picture. So I really love that process, and the fact that you can pick your how many people you want them to vote, and also what's really interesting that the consumers, they get a lot of questions, and they're really giving you answers with so much details, and that's another thing. Can you tell a little bit about the details, the questions you guys ask the consumers, and how those answers really helping to make your product better?
Yeah. So for every poll we do prompt them to explain their response. And so every even if they're choosing A or B or whatnot, they always have to give a written explanation why. And we're gauging how good their responses are kind of by how good those how thorough they are. So we're doing a lot of work on the back end to filter out responses that are not to our quality level. So there are some people who will not really put any effort into it. We're going to screen them out, or if they write gibberish, we're going to screen them out, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, to your point, the real insight is actually in the written explanations. Sure, it may be interesting to see if A beats B, but you really want to know why. And if yours was B, you really want to know why, how you can improve it, right? And a lot of times, some people may even choose the losing one, but maybe they read through the reasons why, and they're okay with that, right? Like it's still up to you; it's your decision. Maybe you say like, "That's fine. I'm going into this with my eyes wide open, but I want something that's polarizing or whatever it is, and I only want to, resonate with a certain group of people." That's fine. But knowing earlier, as opposed to in the reviews when your product's live, is completely different. So definitely super important to read through those written explanations. And what we do now also is we do an AI summary of those explanations, because if you're getting 100, 200, 500 written responses, it's a lot for any human to kind of process, like, what are all the themes here. We used to have customers that would like manually tally up like the different themes, like they'll put it into a spreadsheet and be like, okay, like commenting on the packaging, commenting on the like all these things, and kind of cluster them. Now AI is the perfect tool for that. So we summarize it. We also have like this ChatGPT prompt thing where you can ask questions of your results. So you could say like, okay, well, tell me how I would actually improve B based on the feedback. And it'll kind of like process all those results and give you much more specific things but all based off what the actual humans have said. So it's a really nice pairing of human feedback, but AI analysis.
Love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
And the
Yeah.
other,
I just wanted to go
sorry.
back to something you were saying, Norm, earlier about
Yeah.
the competitive testing, because one of the things that our advanced customers do is definitely validating their product ideas against your competitors even before going too far with it, right? So, you know, we all have like different, huge long list of different products that we want to sell, and maybe the volume is there, but if you're not going to be competitive in the marketplace against the top people in that keyword space, then it may not be worth going after. And so a lot of times what they'll do is they'll go as far as designing the product, designing the packaging, even the branding, setting up the primary image, then putting them against the competitors and, okay, am I making a dent in the clicks? Maybe you don't have to win. Maybe it's like you're, breaking even or something, but it needs to be a big enough dent that it's going to justify this huge investment that you're going to make into the product. And it's going to save you, thousands of dollars, right? You might spend a few $100s validating it and developing it, but this is an advanced technique to really make sure that you're theoretically, going to win in this hypothetical test against with actual human feedback.
So we work with a lot of highly perceived products. So maybe they come to us and they want to have a higher perceived value. We'll develop that. And once we do it, so they're, maybe the packaging is better, or, something about it, the overall look is better, and we get the check marks.
Yeah.
But if nobody's willing to pay anything more, then that goes out the window. So price comparison is also something that you should check. Are
That's
people
right.
willing to pay the price?
Yeah, that's a really good test too. And what the way that we have like a mock-up generator, but you could do this yourself as well, is that you could take screenshots of your product. You could have the price, even ratings and reviews, because those are factors, and all those things are what people are buying, right? It's a combination of how well you're rated, what your price is, how good your product looks. Like those are all factors, and so maybe a very good looking product, even if like the ratings aren't as good, like could have a higher price. You should experiment with that. Like it might get the click. And from the testing that we've done with those kind of hypothetical scenarios, it definitely makes a big difference. And especially if you're coming in new to a space and it's like, oh, everyone else has like 1,000 ratings. Well, you could probably come in and you could validate this using a PickFu test and steal away some of that market share by saying, like, is it $2 lower? Is it $5 lower? And kind of play with the different price thresholds that you may want to start with, just to kind of chip away at it.
Or something else. So this is just a different scenario, but a lot of us are, they're new to the market.
Yeah.
And what do? They product cannibalize. They go in, they go way too low. So you said, maybe $2 off or maybe $5 off. Well, they go $20 off and they make no profit once they figure out, all the small charges. So you could figure out, well, I don't have to lower my price this much.
Yes.
So
right.
I think it's it's worthwhile to take that step.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a big believer on make your product better and show it. And you can even have your price a little bit higher, because the way my brain work, and I think a lot of other people's psychology, is like when you go and you search for product, you have some kind of idea of how much you're willing to pay for that, but you also want really good quality. It depends what you're selling. Some items, it's really not that important, but if you're selling something that is really nice, make it better, display it in your, in your images, in your video and everything. Let the customer know your item is much better than the competitor, and charge more, because I will always prefer to pay a little bit more and get something better than to get something that is cheap, right? That's just me, and that's the way I always did that on e-commerce.
Well, and I think what's interesting about that is, like, it doesn't even, you could just make it perceived better, right? And we
Mhm.
actually have a case study. I could dig it up afterwards, but of a headphone manufacturer where they were losing to another to a competitor, and so he just started iterating on his main image by kind of getting inspired from his competition and then kind of like going from there. So, first he enlarged the photo, then he started adding some of the components that came with, just constantly tweaking the layout. It improved the click through rate and sales so much that he was actually able to increase the price, and nothing's changed. Like it's the
Yeah,
exact same product, but like the main image is just so much better. It looks so much more professional. And then the product is just performing better sales wise that he was able to increase the price. And so, you know,
exactly.
amazing profit margin opportunity there.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly. And again, it depends what the product. It really depends. But like something like that, like headphones. If somebody buy headphones, he want to make sure it's the best quality. It's not gonna
Yeah,
stop working after a day.
yeah,
So if you can display it, and I will pay more. Some things I will definitely pay more because today everything is cheap. You can find everything like so cheap. If it's on Amazon, or we know where to go. We know to go to AliExpress and all these places, and
yeah.
you never know what you get. It's like this is like I think it's scary. I just want to know that I buy something good and not something cheap that is gonna stop working right away. Let's take a quick note from our sponsors and be right back.
Sure.
Wallysmarter.com is a cutting edge software tool designed to help online sellers make more money on Walmart.com. Featuring advanced keyword and product research tools, Wallysmarter identifies high demand, low competition niches for you to capitalize on. With more accurate Walmart sales estimates provided by its easy to use Chrome extension, Wallysmarter takes all the guesswork out of selling on Walmart. Be empowered to make more informed decisions and grow your business like never before. Try Wallysmarter today with no credit card required. Did I say no credit card required? Anyways, use your coupon code POWER30 and get 30% off Wallysmarter today for life. All right,
All
we're
right.
back.
So I have a question for you.
Yes.
That's probably my last question for you. But what is your best advice for somebody who's just starting, with e-commerce? Can be even one or two, three, things, whatever you want.
Starting in e-commerce or
Starting, yeah, he's starting. He's just starting, in e-commerce, or he's about to launch his first product or develop, or.
yeah, I mean, self-servingly, I would say to validate it, and to kind of start getting out of your head, and whether you use PickFu or even just start going to actual coffee shops or Facebook groups or whatever it is, but find your target audience and start talking to them and bouncing your product ideas and your actual designs and branding with people. Um, I always like to advise people that I know a lot of people don't think branding makes a big difference, but if you want to have any longevity in this game, like you need to have some semblance of branding, and eventually it's going to make an impact. So, my other advice would be like not to ignore branding from the beginning. Spend a little bit of effort, and same with packaging. I mean, um, a small amount of effort and maybe like a very incremental increase in the cost could make a big difference in how good your packaging quality is. And good packaging can be included in your imagery, and I think that makes a big difference. So, don't ignore these things that in pursuit of just like, oh, I'm just going to make a better product and it's going to sell better. Well, make it a full package that's kind of appealing all around.
Yeah, I love what you say about branding because a lot of people they just
Yeah,
they don't think about it too much. It's like, oh, we have good product, let's just take a name, let's get the domain. But if we look at a lot of I'm always paying attention to especially on social media and even on Amazon. I like to go and scroll and see if they have A plus. The same with Walmart. Walmart A plus is something you can do, but people don't do it right now.
yeah,
A little bit, only the big brands doing it, but it is available. It is available, and you guys should start doing it and upload videos and all these things. But what I wanted to say is that when I look at really successful brand, it's not that just they're really focusing on branding themselves, they have a brand story.
Mhm.
And I think that's the key, because when you come, it's also, again, it depends what's your product, but something like supplement, if you come with the story, what happened to you and how did you came up with this supplement, and how did it affect your life, or things like that. It is so important. It should be part of your, branding yourself, have a brand story. I
Yeah.
think it, like you said, can create a lot of impact.
Yeah. I mean, I think even you could even have a lower bar for yourself where just don't cause questions. Like your branding shouldn't cause questions. Obviously, you want it to do something positive for yourself, but you don't want it to cause questions. I know personally I've bought things where I almost hesitate because I'm like, well, this is a really weird brand name for kitchen goods. And
Yeah,
then you look at the brands, the store page, and like they sell like every like all kinds of things all over the board. It's like,
yeah,
okay, I don't know if they're really focused on putting out the best kitchen goods, right? So, you just don't want to cause hesitation at the very least. Even better if you have a good brand story and a back history. But there are so many times where it's like, why is it a tech, something tech, but it's like, oh, this is supposed to be, like for it's clothing or something like that, right? Like it just feels like a weird mismatch. So
yeah,
really try to make sure your branding resonates with the product you're trying to sell.
yeah. Because I think most of the sellers, we have like how much, like 2.5 million active sellers on Amazon, right? That's a lot.
Yeah.
I think I would say probably most of them don't really brand themselves.
Yeah.
Like most of the sellers, they just started something. Some of them selling different products, or they're just continue adding to their catalog. They're not always using the same brand name. But yeah, most sellers are not really branding themselves. But the one that are branding themselves, we notice them, and they
Yeah.
make much more money. Like you can see, it's you like you cannot go wrong. Like you can look when something is really selling, make a lot of money. You can see there is a nice brand
Yeah.
behind it and a brand store. And that's actually I want to say that Walmart right now do have a brand store. So everybody is listening, please go to Walmart Connect and make sure to check if you have that eligibility, because it's only there. It's not in your account. It's in Walmart Connect where you create advertisement. And if you don't have Walmart Connect account, go and open one. It's free. You just need to, it should be open to everyone, but if not, you just apply. There's a place in there. So I think the fact that now we're getting brand stores on
Hmm.
Walmart, it's huge, because it's really going to help you show your brand and
Yeah.
display everything you have and create this beautiful page and add, all your products and the story and everything. So I'm super excited with everything that's happening with Walmart this year. Do you guys see a lot of customers starting to kind of ask question about Walmart Marketplace?
I think we're generally seeing people exploring all kind of different avenues.
Mhm.
Whether it's Walmart, D2C, even social selling, and so I think it's just really wide open right now. I think everyone is kind of trying everything, um, which is great because I think buyers are definitely more open to
Yeah.
expanding the channels that they buy from now. And I think all the different channels have also stepped up their game so that the experiences are becoming much closer to what people have come to expect from Amazon.
Yes.
Even like more traditional stores like Target and Walmart have all really good experiences, especially blending with the in-store opportunities that they have. So it's really exciting, I think, for people
Yeah.
to have so many different channels, because certain products may sell differently in different marketplaces, and you kind of
Absolutely.
have to understand that they could be different customer mixes, and so even if it doesn't do well on Amazon, it might do well in Walmart, and vice versa. Like you just kind of have to experiment with it.
Yeah. I cannot agree more. I see items that are very basic doing extremely well.
Mm,
Like brands are selling basic stuff, like in the supplement, beauty, clothing is huge. This is like sellers. There's so many sellers that literally making seven figures on Walmart
nice.
for clothing. The reason why is the psychology of the customer. because customers know if they need, kids are growing fast, right? You have kids. Now it's winter. We need long sleeve pajama, right? I would think, where is the best place I can find something good quality? Because they're growing so fast. I'm not going to spend $50 on a pajama. So the psychology is going to send them to Walmart, and all these sellers that actually taking advantage of that why customers come to Walmart.
That's right.
You see those categories are extremely successful. Third-party sellers doing very, very well. Same with like outdoor or seasonal stuff. People go to Walmart. We're having a trip next week. We're taking the kids to the snow, and I went to Walmart looking for like a basic clothing for snow for kids. There's so many, like it's packed, and guess what? I was so upset. Everything is sold out. And I know Walmart, I know the quantity they're ordering with clothing. We're talking about 1,000, and it's all sold out, and this is the middle of January. Everything was sold out. It's insane. I'm like, people, if somebody sell snow ski clothing for children and you hear me now, please go there. You can literally make thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars. Is ridiculous. Like, it's all sold out. I cannot believe that. And there's so many. It's not just one brand. There's like all the brands. Everybody's sold out.
Awesome.
All right. So I think I
think we had a question.
We have a question?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we do. So let me just read this out for everyone. What does PickFu stand for? In other words, how did you come up with that name? And number two, we would be interested in polling for what order should our images be placed in our listing? Are you running any specials right now?
Good question.
Yeah, so I'll start with the first one. Yeah, so PickFu, there's a couple meanings behind it. Fu, like a suffix of fu, is like mastery or something. So we wanted something that was very good at picking for you, and then pick for you also works as another reason. So that's what PickFu stands for, and we wanted something that was short, could be a verb. So we always tell people to PickFu it. If you don't know, PickFu it. So that's where the name came from. And we did PickFu different spellings of it early on, and this is the one that kind of stuck. So yeah, that's where it came from. Yeah, great that you want to test out the order that the images should be placed in. So like I said, you could either upload all the images and have people kind of preferentially rank them. The other option is we do have a click test where you could have, maybe you're starting from like 20 different images and you just kind of want to see like which ones people are gravitating towards. We'll generate a heat map off clicks. So you could ask them to like, click on the top 4 images or whatever it is and start seeing where people are clustering. And then you can kind of, so if you collage all 20, I'm saying in a single image, you could get a heat map there. So that's another way to kind of filter out a lot of different images. That also works well for people who are doing color variations. Like maybe you're working, you're trying to order from like your manufacturer has like 100 different colors that you could choose from. Maybe you just want to help get people to whittle it down. You could put up like the color swap, the whole, array of colors, and then have people kind of click on them. Any specials right now? No specific specials right now. I think we do have a coupon with you guys. I'm trying to remember what the coupon was. Probably Ecom Power for 50% off your first poll. But if you go and sign up anyways at pickfu.com, when you're going through the onboarding process, you do have an opportunity to try a 5 response poll for free. And that's always a nice way for people to just kind of experience what it's like to get the feedback rolling in very quickly. But yeah, definitely, I'll have to double check what the coupon is which we have with you guys.
Yeah, I think it's 50%. Kelsey, if you have it. If not, guys, we're going to post it in the comments under the video in the Facebook group and the YouTube and
Cool.
all the other channels. So wonderful. So Kelsey, do you have any questions or?
No, that was the last one.
Okay, beautiful. So Justin, thank you so much. That was so interesting. I love this conversation. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks a lot, Justin.
All right, you guys. So we will see you next week, next Thursday. We have live Q&A. I'm going to be here all by myself because Norm, and Kelsey too, right? You guys both work on the cruise. So I guess it's just going to be me. I don't know how I'm going to do that, but okay. So next week, we're going to have live Q&A when we update you with everything that's happening with Walmart, all the new things. And guys, there's so much, like literally every 2 weeks, we have tons of updates. So come join us. Let's talk Walmart, and we will see you next Thursday.
All right. See everybody later.
Bye.